It started with the sound of keys that didn't belong to me, scraping and jangling against my front door just after sunrise, 7 a.m., right when most folks are still halfway between dreamland and a cup of coffee, you know? That metallic clatter, sharp and smug, said one thing loud and clear. Somebody thinks they own your life. And when I leaned into the peephole, still in my old t-shirt, eyes half shut, there she was, Karen Hutchkins in her visor and sneakers, standing like she was the queen of the block, poking at my front door with what she called the master key. Yeah, my day started like that. I'm Mark Levin, 38 years old, ex-corporate engineer, husband to Leah, dad to a wisecracking 10-year-old named Noah. We'd traded the city chaos for this cul-de-sac. Picture the kind of place where the loudest thing you hear is the sprinkler kicking on at 6 and the mail truck groaning up the street. We thought we'd found peace. But nobody tells you that peace might have a gatekeeper, one who lives 3 doors down and carries a clipboard everywhere she goes. I'm talking about Karen. She'd already left 3 emails about my grass height, one about the shade of my mailbox, and even called out the porch light for being a bit too warm white. But this was a new level of overreach. So that morning, I cracked the door open, just the chain, mind you, and her face did this thing. You know, that tight, I'm in charge smile. Mr. Levin, she chirps, all syrupy. Safety inspection. She's standing there jamming keys into my lock, like she owns the whole block. Inspection, I echoed, staring right at that key wedged in my lock. With what? Burglary tools. She gives this nervous little laugh. Oh, just ensuring your door complies with our emergency access standards. Right. By breaking in yourself. I'm not sure if I was more stunned or amused. She tugged the key, hard, it snapped in half. Just like that. Her face went white, like she'd seen a ghost. Oh no, you'll need to call a locksmith immediately, Mr. Levin. This could compromise the whole neighborhood's lock system. I just shook my head. Yeah, because you jammed your illegal master key in my door. And right then, here comes Noah, pajamas crooked, hair everywhere. Dad, who's yelling? Just your friendly neighborhood safety. Inspector, I said, giving Karen a look. She tried to regroup, tells Noah, young man, please tell your father to unlock this chain so I can fix his defective lock. Noah just blinks at her. Why's your key stuck in it? That's when the facade fell apart. She went red, started trembling, and pulled out her phone. This is an emergency. I'm locked out, and there's a child involved. Next thing I know, she's dialing 911. When the cops showed up, you could see in their eyes that they knew this was going to be one for the books. Karen launches into her speech about community, safety, and unauthorized locks. The officer, bless him, asks, "Ma'am, do you have permission to enter this home?" Karen puffs up. I'm the HOA president. He doesn't even blink. Do you have a warrant? She freezes, finally. Noah, trying to be helpful, undoes the chain and swings the door wide. See? Wasn't even locked from the inside. I swear the cop nearly laughed. When the circus finally left, Karen turned to me with this fire in her eyes, hissing, "You have no idea what you've done. You embarrassed me in front of law enforcement." I said, "No, Karen. You did that all by yourself." She stormed off, heels clacking, head steaming. By nightfall, there's a red citation taped to my mailbox. Interference with authorized HOA inspection. That's when it hit me. Karen didn't know the meaning of shame. She only understood challenge. Next morning, I'm walking out to get the paper, and there are copies of that citation everywhere. She'd taped them to my fence, the trash can, even the post where the neighborhood cat naps in the afternoon. My wife, Leah, just stood there shaking her head. She's doubling down. Karen doesn't lose. I said, she rewrites the rulebook. An email pings on my phone. Mandatory hearing tonight regarding non-compliant locking mechanisms. In other words, public trial. The clubhouse that evening was packed, neighbors whispering, people craning their necks. Karen sat up front, blazer on, her little president sign shining like a sheriff's badge. "Mr. Levin," she started, sticky sweet, "your home violates our safety key protocol." I opened my folder, spread out photos of the broken key, emails showing her pushing HOA-approved locks from her brother's store, and, best of all, a newsletter proving the key program had never been voted on. "You mean this protocol?" I asked, holding up her own words from 6 months ago. It also says the HOA isn't responsible for misuse of keys, so if someone broke in using yours, that's on you. The room went quiet, and you could feel the tide turning. A board member frowned. Karen, we never approved a mandatory program. It was an emergency provision, she snapped. During what emergency? Someone called from the back. She started to unravel right then and there. I didn't have to say another word. By the end of the meeting, the board suspended her master key scheme. Karen slammed her binder shut, muttering about sabotage, and stormed out, her face like a stop sign. For a hot second, I thought it was over. Yeah, right. 2 days later, a contractor with a clipboard and no ID shows up at my door. HOA safety inspection, he says. Karen sent me. I called the city, no record of any inspection. Not 5 minutes later, a real city inspector rolled by, and the guy bolted so fast I barely caught his license plate. That's when it clicked. She wasn't giving up power. She was outsourcing her dirty work. That night, I put up cameras, motion sensors, even a sign, property monitored for legal protection, not security, but legal. I wanted her to know I was collecting evidence. Around midnight, Karen herself walks by with her clipboard, sees the red camera light blink, and, no joke, she hesitated for the first time since I moved in. For a second, the queen of compliance actually looked scared. Next morning, sure enough, another HOA notice. Unauthorized surveillance devices visible from public areas. I just laughed. Now she was trying to ban evidence itself. So I fired back, sent the board the city ordinance and a screenshot of her trespassing on my porch at 1:14 a.m. That got one of the quieter board members to reply privately. We're reviewing her behavior. But Karen? She shifted into overdrive. Lawn inspector shows up. Trash cans mysteriously dragged into the street at 3 a.m. Someone even logged a noise complaint because my kid practiced trumpet at noon on a Saturday. You'd think I was running a circus over here. Here's the twist, though. The neighborhood was changing. People started coming up to me at the mailbox, sharing their own Karen stories. There was old Mr. Evans, who got cited for excessive bird feeders, and Mrs. Harper, fined for a birthday party sign on her lawn. Even the couple across the street, who'd been too scared to speak up, started waving, asking if I'd heard the latest. Suddenly, I wasn't fighting alone. One evening, Leah surprised me. She handed me a thumb drive. Her friend at the realty office had forwarded an internal memo. Karen had ordered extra citation pads and was running her own little ticketing campaign. We printed everything, emails, memos, the works, and brought it to the next HOA meeting. The room was electric. People wanted answers. One board member, usually Karen's yes man, stood up and said, I move for an investigation into misuse of HOA authority. Someone else seconded. For the first time, Karen couldn't filibuster or threaten her way out. They voted, right then and there, to suspend her authority pending review. The next day, the block felt different, lighter. Kids rode their bikes. Without worrying about helmet citations, folks mowed their lawns how they wanted. Even the cranky old guy 2 doors down brought out his grill for the first time all year. A few weeks later, the results came in. Karen was stripped of her presidency for abuse of power and banned from holding office for 5 years. You should have seen her face when she took down her president's sign. Like, someone canceled Christmas and took her birthday too. And I've got to admit, I walked a little taller after that. My porch light glowed warm white, just the way I like it, and the only keys in my front door now belong to my family. But here's what I keep wondering. How much power is too much for one neighbor to have? Where's the line between community and control? You know? If you've ever had a Karen in your life, or maybe you are one, what's fair? What's right? Let's hear your stories. Drop them in the comments. Should HOAs even have this kind of authority? Who decides what community really means? If you believe in standing up for your own peace and your neighbors, hit that like, subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me below, where do you draw the line between order and overreach? Because in the end, justice is just a key away, if you're willing to turn it.